Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to another video. In this video we're going to share with you the costs of our recent trip to Europe. It's quite a dramatic swing from last year. So we're back from Europe. Thank you very much for all your lovely comments. We hope you enjoyed the trip as much as we did making it. It was superb.
Yes, very good fun, and yeah, hope you enjoyed the highlights.
Yeah, Germany absolutely blew us away. I mean, Caroline's been before, more than me. I was highly recommended to me, but I was completely blown away by Germany. Can't wait to return. Anyway, we'll talk about that shortly. So this video is going to cover off the costs of our trip, and there's some quite dramatic swings in cost compared to our trip to France last year in Europe, which is about a similar sort of time scale and similar sort of time of year, but it's quite a dramatic swing. So as per the video last year, I will put a link up to the video somewhere at the top if you want to watch it. Try and guess what the most expensive part of our trip was. So, was it the fuel, was it the crossing, was it the campsite, or was it the tolls? You've seen the video, so have a guess now and see what you think. And at the end of the video, we'll reveal all.
Yeah, and same as last year, we haven't included all the food and drinks because we just pretend they don't happen. And as pointed out last year, you do need to eat and drink if you're at home, so therefore it is just a living cost. So we just gloss over the fact.
Yeah. Obviously, everyone has different tastes and different eating habits, so we're not going to include the food and drink because everyone's got different food and drink habits, and we don't want anyone to see our actual bar bill from this trip.
Yeah, we don't want you to judge us, that's it basically, but
yeah.
Really, I mean, some people like to eat out every night and quite lavishly, and you know, some people not, so whatever works for you, that's kind of personal. All the other bits we hope are useful, the rest is our personal choice.
And we watched it back and saw how much we actually drank, particularly on the day we went on the romantic tour, which was quite a lot in that video, so apologies, we weren't obviously alcoholics or anything like that, but we had a nice time. So we're going to break the video down into 4 parts. The first part, we're going to talk about how we booked the trip and the planning. We get asked that a lot of times from people. The second part, we're going to talk about the campsites, because we've had lots of requests about the campsites we've stayed at in the past, particularly last year and this year on the European trips. Everyone's keen to know where they are, what they're located. Third part, we're going to talk about what the highlights and if anything went wrong with the van, etc. while we're away. And finally, the fourth part, the cost.
Big reveal.
We'll put chapters in the bottom, so if you want to skip to the cost, feel free to do that. Just click on the description below. You'll see a chapter link to it. Click on it, you can go straight to the cost if you want to hear about the rest of the trip. Right, without further ado, let's talk about the planning. So, the planning. How do we do our planning? Well, for this trip, we did none.
No, the planning there was no planning.
Whatsoever. We booked the time off work, we booked the crossing, which was the tunnel, as you probably saw, rather than the ferry. We did the extra time, a short crossing, which was about an hour longer on the ferry for this part of the trip, because we drove straight to Belgium, to Bruges, as you probably saw from the first video. So that was what we did. We did book the first campsite, didn't we?
Yeah, that was probably the only bit that we booked. What we learned from last year's trip was that actually staying overnight in the UK close to the port or Eurotunnel, whichever you choose, the night before was nice and did lead for a slightly more relaxing journey down. But it did mean, I mean, really, by the time we got there at tea time, you can just hop on the Eurotunnel and then stay the other side, which is what we decided to try this year. And then looking at the plan, thought, well, Bruges seems like a nice start. We've not been there, so we booked that first night just to make sure we've got somewhere to stay.
But we did book it the night before we set off. We were struggling to get into the campsite, it was full for ages. And we just kept trying. And eventually they must have had a cancellation and it popped up with one night available, which was a Saturday night. We set off, it was Saturday, wasn't it? Yeah,
Saturday. It was Saturday, yeah,
it was Saturday
night. And then, as you've seen by chance, they had availability the next night, which meant we could stay and explore Bruges then, which was...
Yeah, but that was literally the only part of the trip we did planning on. The rest of the trip, we basically did reviews. We searched the internet for places. We used the map. We used Google Maps and a normal map to find places we wanted to go to in the rough direction we're planning to head to. We actually planned, we've been watching another YouTube channel, Helen and Martin Strex, and they did a really good video on Austria and Salzburg. We wanted to go to Salzburg for a long time in the van, and that was our destination plan.
Yeah, if you've seen last year's video, that was where we had intended to go last year, but it just never happened. We got distracted, stayed in France.
The weather.
And this year we had a rough, we'll sort of head in that direction and see what we found along the way. Really is probably about as much planning as is involved.
Yeah, Caroline wanted to go and visit the Rhine, so we thought we'd do that on the way, and then we got completely distracted by Germany. So that's the beauty of the Campervan motorhome. You can just, you don't have to book, you do what you want, just decide where you go when you get there. It doesn't work for everybody, but it works for us. In terms of booking the campsites, we use Google, we use reviews online, so a combination of TripAdvisor and Google. Find the Google reviews are a bit more up to date. Some of the TripAdvisor stuff's quite out of date. And Google reviews and maps works really well to sort of find locations and recommendations from other people. So yeah, that's pretty much how we book our trip. So in this part of the video, we're going to talk about the campsites we stayed at. So we stayed at 5 in total. I'm going to give you a bit more information about them, and we're going to take it in turns to read them out. I'm going to start first because it's an easy one to say, Camping Memling in Belgium. Caroline can do the German one next after that. So yeah, first one was Camping Memling. We stayed there for 2 nights. A really nice campsite located just outside of Belgium city centre.
Bruges city centre.
Sorry, Bruges city centre, not Belgium, that's the country. So yeah, you can walk into the city centre from there. It was a good location, like a residential location, wasn't it?
Yeah, really good. Great location considering it's city and so popular.
Yeah.
You wouldn't generally think there'd be a campsite that close.
No, definitely recommend booking that one because it was really quite tight for space. There wasn't many spaces available, obviously, if you see from the video. But it was really good. And the campsite itself was quite compact. Quite a decent number of pitches, but it was quite compact. Most of them had electric hookup. There was available without electric hookup, and there was water point for motorhomes and emptying point. It had all the things you needed and a nice new shower block. Nice in the middle.
No complaints. I think it's definitely a site that where you expect it to be sort of eye off in the daytime, just in terms because the pitches are quite small, which is fine, but it doesn't really lend itself to sort of long sitting out times and barbecues and lots of space on your pitch. But because of the location, I don't think you really need that. So it's not a bad thing. It's just a point.
Yeah, it'd be really cool if you had a couple of vans there. If you were travelling with friends or something, you could have them quite close together. It'd be quite nice. It's a typical European campsite. The space is a little bit smaller than they are in some of the ones that we stayed at in the UK. So yeah, really good. Really like the campsite. We're going to put the What 3 Words location up at the bottom. I'll talk about What 3 Words in a second, but we're going to put that up as well so you can see exactly where it was and also the cost of the campsite. So we stayed there in July, and the cost of the campsite per night equated to £33 a night, and that included electric hookup. You could save a few euros without electric hookup. These prices are all in pounds, based in July 2023, and it was £33 a night, including electric hookup.
So our next stop 2 in Germany, was Camping Rudesheim, which we found to be a great location. On the Rhine, which I really wanted to see, and despite seeing everything else, I really think this one was probably my favourite just because of the location, and there was so much to do and so much to see. So yeah, brilliant, great site. It was quite big. Well, it's quite well spread out, wasn't it? It felt small but big. There was 2 shower blocks, and one which just had toilets, and then the main one by the reception that had the showers. And other facilities, and there was a shop on site there, so you could order bread and croissants, and a great bar and restaurant which just overlooked the Rhine, so like the other side of the campsite. So brilliant stop there. What we found in Germany was that a lot of the sites, they don't take bookings for less than 7 days in advance. They're happy to take you if you just rock up. So we were a bit worried that we weren't going to get in because it said no bookings for less than 7 days. But then what we realised was that's just because you just rock up and stay, and he said, yeah, stay as long as you like, and so we did, which was great, wasn't it? It was very
the
good.
Site was full though. It was full, and he said if you turn up, we rang up on the way. Caroline rang up and spoke to him in German and said if we turn up, as long as you're there before 5, we'll keep a pitch for you, which is really good because when we arrived we got the last pitch. There was 3 left, I think.
Yeah, it was busy. I mean, I think each day there'd be like a new tent that would pop up, so I think they all sort of like squeezed people in, didn't they? But it's easier if you're in a tent than if you've got a motorhome. So that bit kind of is a bit like, oh, are we going to get in?
But you had to pay in that one. You had to pay cash or debit card. You couldn't pay on a credit card for it.
Yeah, which we found a lot in Germany, and I know we touched on it in one of the videos. A lot of them don't take cards, and it is cash only, which is just a whole contradiction to everywhere else that you go, where everybody's saying card only. Germany was very much cash only, so just a real point, make sure you've got cash or access to cash.
And the cost?
And the cost per night there was £30.
Yeah, it's just to clarify, all the costs are all in pounds. We've converted them with using the exchange rate we had at the time. It includes all fees and stuff, so that's it cost us £30 exactly.
So basically we've taken the cost as it's come out of our account or whatever, I'm not there obviously because it was cash. So we've just reconciled that and then just divided it by the nights that we stayed, including electric or any other additional charges, tourist tax, etc.
Did we have electric on that one?
We did have electric, but it was incorporated in your
rate, yeah.
In your rate. It was not like metered.
No, that's another point to make. So you could have with or without electric again at that site, which reduced your cost a little bit by a few euros, but it wasn't metered. You could use as much as you wanted. The next site we went to had meters. Next campsite was in Germany in the Black Forest, which was fantastic. Again, we found this one by actually watching some YouTube videos. We found it from reviews, and it was called a 5-star campsite. It's got quite mixed reviews on Google. If you look at it, it was called Family Resort Kleisenhof or Camping Kleisenhof, depending on where you look at it. And it was set up, it's a real family campsite. I would have loved this campsite as a youngster. There's so much freedom and outdoors. You go on it, you could play on a boat, you could play on a raft they had at the bottom. There was play parks with animals. It was just a really, really like a kid's dream. Absolutely ginormous campsite, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was huge. Every time we walked, you were like, oh, there's a bit more campsite and a bit more campsite. But it was a lot of like permanent
pitches. Yeah, someone described it as being like turning up and it being like a completely unkept, like really outdated campsite, and then you drove into it, and that's what the first impression was. But it was actually beautiful. It was lovely. Location was perfect. It had some really good facilities. It had a restaurant. It had a swimming pool, indoor and outdoor. We didn't find the indoor one at first, but really nice. A family resort, Kleisenhof or Camping Kleisenhof. Kleinenshof. I told you I can't do the German. And that costs per night. That was £37 per night, so it's a bit more expensive. That included the electricity, and that was on a metered, so that was using the metered electricity we had. We didn't use a great deal of electricity. I think it was about €6 or €7 in total of part of that cost for the total trip. We were running the fridge off it, and then obviously just charging up devices and stuff. We didn't watch any television or anything like that, so that was pretty much it.
So next stop was further down in the Black Forest and on Lake Titisee, which still Camping Bankenhof. Really lovely place, really nice campsite. Good thing about that one is it is just away from the lake, so you can walk down to the next campsite, which was even busier, and use the lake there, or obviously walk all the way around to the centre of Titisee, which is the other side of the lake.
Campsite was really nice. It had brand new, like sort of really good toilet block, didn't it?
Oh, the toilet block was nice.
It was amazing. It had like massive toilet block, loads of facilities, but it had showers that you went into like through a door into your shower cubicle. There was a little separate bit for getting changed with another door on it. So you put your shoe. There was a shoe rack. There was a hat rack. You could put your baseball cap on there. You hang them up, and then go into the shower itself. When then obviously shut the door so your clothes don't get wet. It was really nice.
Yeah, it was good, and it had a security code to actually get into the so it's going to be fancy when there's a code. They don't let any old riffraff into the toilets.
I'm not sure anybody wandering around would probably use the toilets because it was quite far from anywhere, but
but you know what I mean, it's like exactly, so it's the only people on the campsite that were there, and you still had to get the security code to make it into the toilets. One thing we liked there was the dishwasher, the dishwasher machines randomly around the park that you could use.
We didn't use them.
We didn't need to use them, but if you're in a tent or something and you've not maybe got a sink accessible, it's
good idea.
It's good there. And that one was £33 per night.
So yeah, £33 including electricity. Again, we used by meter. It was about £7.50 for electricity for the 3 nights we were there. So yeah, that was the total cost including electricity. But a very nice campsite. Just down from the lake. The reason we didn't stay at the other one was Caroline doesn't like vans being too close together, and I must admit, on the campsite they were like literally bumper to bumper, weren't they? On the road.
Yeah, they were, which is fine because if you want to sit in your van and look at the view,
it's not if it catches fire.
Yeah, I just think the 3 metre rule between vans is there for a reason. It makes me uncomfortable when everybody's just wedged in. And
they were literally almost touching bumpers, so yeah. It looked nice, but I wouldn't want to stay there.
No, it was nice for that picture of your van on the lake, but that's it. I'd happily just park, take the photo, and go. And one thing that was really good there, and we did make a lot of use of because the transport links were so good, was the free tourist. I can't remember what it was called, the tourist travel card, so we could use the bus and the train, and we did have that at the previous campsite as well. It's just it wasn't really the links weren't as close to where the campsite is, so that one was definitely better with some other form of transport, I think, wouldn't it? Whereas this one, park the van, leave it, walk to the top of the hill, there was a bus stop, train station in the centre, so really good for getting around to other places.
And the final campsite we stayed was back in Belgium. We stayed there for one night. It was part of a chain, Sandaia group. We've stayed with them before. The one in Normandy last year. They're a really big chain. They've got 4 and 5 star campsites. This was again a ginormous campsite. It was a proper family sort of resort campsite. You could go there for a week easily with your family. It was really nice. Obviously it's quite a busy site, so if you don't like busy sites, it's not one for you, but it was really good. Again, it'd be a really good stopover campsite if you're travelling.
Yeah.
So it's classed as a 4-star campsite on their website, Sandaia. It was really nice. Park La Clusière, Inspector Clouseau. Park La Clusière. I'll say that like that.
If we just put it on there, you can make
you can make your own note. It's in Wallonia in Belgium. It was really nice. It obviously had multiple swimming pools, an adults only swimming pool, which was really nice. You have to be over 18 for that pool. Then they had a really nice sort of family pool with a lazy river and rapids and water fountains and all sorts for children. It was really cool. An indoor pool as well, so that was to the right of the main pool. There's an indoor pool as well. And they had a really nice restaurant. I think the restaurant there is the best restaurant we've eaten on a campsite.
Yeah, it is. I think from this trip, Belgium is quite underrated. Apart from the obvious places like Bruges and Ghent and those kind of places that people tend to visit. Belgium as a whole seems to be quite underrated, doesn't it? We've been really impressed with the with the sights, with the people, with the welcome. It's just a really lovely country. So we'll definitely go back. But that one there is a great stop, wasn't it, on the way further down?
Yeah. So this campsite, we had one night there with electricity. We paid for an extra large pitch, so we could have a slightly smaller pitch, which was about €4 or €5 cheaper. We paid for a 100-metre pitch because it had a water tap as well, which didn't actually use in the end, but anyway, we had it. And that was the most expensive campsite on the trip. That was £38 for the night, including electricity. And I've just realised we were supposed to pay for electricity there.
No. Sorry. No, but if you considering you get use of all of the sort of facilities, thinking about the pools, and if you had a family, there's entertainment, kids disco, kids entertainment. There's so much sort of added extras with that one that I think it's definitely worth the money to stay at that one.
So, what went wrong? What didn't go according to plan? What fell off the van? This doesn't make very good YouTube because it'd be a really good thumbnail for clickbait people. But absolutely nothing went wrong with the van.
Van disaster.
Yeah.
There was no disaster.
There was no van disaster. The van was perfect. Didn't miss a beat. It started on the first time. We hadn't driven it for 3 months, so we had to obviously be in charge from the solar panel. But it started on the first turn of the key, and then we just drove, and that was it. It was absolutely fantastic. Obviously, we did some checks on it before we set off, but it was all fine.
We're not reckless.
So perfect. No issues whatsoever. And nothing went wrong on the trip either. Everything went according to plan.
Only your injury.
Yeah, but that was where I was getting better. And the only thing really was we missed the tram when we were heading Germany in the Black Forest.
Yeah,
that was it. We missed the tram. Pretty good.
Yeah,
So 2 weeks of no issues.
Really, I think.
Okay, now the most exciting part of the video, the reason why you're here, if you've not just skipped to it straight away from the start, the costs. What did it cost us to travel around Europe in summer, or July to be precise, 2023? It was quite a bit different in price to travelling last year, and we'll show the reasons why. So if you guessed at the start what was the most expensive part of the trip, we'll start in reverse, so give you a clue and build up to it. So we're going to take the crossing out of this for a second, because the crossing has actually gone up since last year, which we'll talk about first, and then we'll go back to the three things. So was it the fuel, the campsites, or the tolls that cost the most this year? So the crossing itself last year, for the same obviously van, slightly different month, but it was a bank holiday last year. It cost us £356 exactly, and that was without any discounts. This year, the crossing had gone up considerably. It wasn't a bank holiday. It was on a weekend. It was on a Saturday, but it wasn't a bank holiday. It wasn't in the summer school holidays in the UK.
No, and it was like mid-afternoon that we booked it for, wasn't it? So not like, peak at first thing Saturday morning.
Yeah, and the crossing had gone up actually. It went up to over £440. But thanks to watching another YouTube channel, which was the Doolittle Campers, David gave us a tip on that about membership. I didn't realise that the Caravan and Motorhome Club membership comes with a discount for the Eurotunnel, or the Shuttle as it's called now, and that gave us 10% off. Now I checked this actually worked, so I did a test at the same time on iPad connected to the internet on a Wi-Fi connection, and a phone using a VPN that wasn't connected to the same Wi-Fi, and the price was exactly the same on both devices, and then the Caravan Motorhome Club discount code was exactly 10% off, so it's a genuine discount code. So if you remember the Caravan Motorhome Club site and you want to use Eurotunnel, it's 10% saving. If you go into the app, you can find it, and that saved us £40, just over £40 off it. So that's almost the membership of the club. So for anybody thinking if the club's worth it and they're planning on going to Europe, then it's definitely worth it for that saving. So the crossing this year cost us £390.88 to be precise. So it's gone up nearly 40 quid on the previous year, but that was including the 10% discount code as well. So in third place this year, so out of the fuel stays and tolls, last year we had, this one was quite a big cost, but this year in third place was the tolls. And this is one of the reasons why we went to Germany. Not necessarily because we didn't want to pay the tolls, but wanted to try something a bit different. There's no tolls in Germany or Belgium, which was fantastic. It cost us £40.51 this time, and that included the €10 crossing across the Rhine when Caroline took us on a detour. So yeah, £40.51. Last year through France, the south of France, the same tolls cost us £256. So a massive swing and a massive saving by going to Germany instead of France so far. So that was the tolls, £40.51. In second place this year, and this is quite a swing, and there is one reason for it, which can be explained quite rationally, which we did less mileage, so you've guessed it. In second place, it's fuel. The fuel cost this year was £342.58, to be precise.
What did we spend last year?
Last year it was £750.39. So literally, more than half. Less than half of the cost of last year. £342.58. Now there is a reason we did less miles this year. So last year we did 2,156. This year we did 1,604. So we did about a quarter of the mileage less, but the cost was still less than half.
Yeah.
And that is down mostly to the fact of the fuel costs. So fuel costs have come down significantly this year versus the same point last year. We were paying around about £1.40, £1.50 this year for fuel, for diesel. Last year it was over £2 a litre. So you can see the difference there. There was a massive saving. Obviously we did less miles, but it's a massive saving. The van also did slightly better to the gallon this year. It did just under 32 to the gallon. It was about 31.9. Last year it was just over 30.
So all the motorhomes?
I've no idea why. It was more economical this year, apart from we were maybe carrying slightly less weight because we didn't have bikes.
That's true.
But that's the only thing I can think of. I drove at the same speed, the tyre pressures were the same. I don't really know why else it would be any different, but it was. So 2 miles to gallon difference. In first place, or the most expensive part of our trip, was actually the campsites this time. Now, we didn't stay on any airs this time, mostly because obviously I was recovering from an injury, and Caroline was concerned that we didn't stay on an air. We didn't have any support if I was able to drive the van or something. So the idea this time was to stay on campsites. We are going to hopefully very shortly stay in an air in the UK, which we'll show you in next week's video. But yeah, so we stayed on campsites. So we had one more night on a campsite than last year. And finally, this year's interesting spends. We didn't buy any croissants this year, so that was quite a good saving.
We did buy some, but not as many as last year.
Yeah, the German ones weren't as good as the French ones. We ended up having bread rolls more in Germany than anything else. And the bread was nice. We spent £11.28 on gas. We filled up with gas on the way down on the M6 services at Kiel. They have a LPG there. That cost us £11.28 to fill the tank, which was about, I think it was, can't remember how many litres it was. It was about 10 litres, something like that. It was quite expensive, but it's one of the few places you can get it.
Needs must.
Yeah. And the biggest cost this year that was unexpected was the cuckoo clock. We can't actually give you a final price for it yet because it's being sent to us, and we're going to have to pay import tax and VAT on it, which we didn't realise when we bought it.
No, I mean, a lot of people have asked and seen the video, which clock did you buy? And when it arrives and it's on the wall, we will show you.
She's forgotten which one she bought, that's why.
No, I haven't. I've got a photo of it. We would put the photo in, then we'll show you. I was waiting for it to be a nice surprise.
We'll wait for it to arrive, then we'll tell you exactly how much it cost. That was probably the most unexpected it cost, certainly for me anyway. I was like, oh yeah, I'll buy you a cooking clock, no problem. Yeah, that's fine.
You got off lightly. There was some about 4 times the price.
Yeah, so that was very good. So that's it for this video. We hope you found it useful and give you some ideas and inspiration for your travels. If you've got any questions, please feel free to let us know in the comments below, or ask us on social media. Any places you've been to see as well that you think we've missed, that'd be really cool for us to explore. We get lots of tips from our viewers, so we love getting the tips from you guys. We've had some really good ones in the comments from the last few videos about where we go back to Germany from, where we can visit. Just want to say one final thing on what 3 words. We started to include it in our videos. We're going to carry on going forward with it. Recently I was involved, I wasn't personally, but there was a car crash and I was involved in sort of the aftermath of it. We were first on the scene, and fortunate enough I was able to grab the first aid kit from the campervan, which we've never used before, but we had quite a comprehensive first aid kit in it, which was really good. So obviously A, carry a first aid kit, but B, when I called the ambulance, we had no idea where we were, and even the ambulance people and nobody around knew where we were. So used what 3 words, and unfortunately on my phone it automatically deleted it because I hadn't used it for so long, and the phone deletes apps you've not used. So I managed to get a signal and download it again and used the what 3 words, and it brought the ambulance straight to the accident. So it was really, really good. They just gave the ambulance people the what 3 words. So we're going to put in every single one of our videos now as well, so you can see with the campsites and stuff we have places we visit too, so it's very useful. So thanks very much for watching, thanks for all your lovely comments, and we'll see you next week's video, and we'll be away, hopefully, exploring UK air. Bye for now.
Bye.